Now in this video, let us discuss how many different data types are there, right? So for that, what we'll be doing is we'll be creating a new file over here, and let me name this file as 2, and let me write down datatype.js. Okay. Once you have written over here to datatype.js, now let us connect this JavaScript file with our index file. So over here, we'll come to the script tag and we'll simply change the name from here / to datatype.js, and coming over here, let us see whether this particular JavaScript file has been connected or not. So to simply check that, I'm going to write console log, and inside this I'm going to write connected and simply just put an emoji, and yes, perfectly it has been connected. Now moving further, now in JavaScript we have 8 different types of data. Okay. So these are the ones. Okay. So JavaScript in total has 8 different data types. We have string, right? We have number, we have BigEnd, we have Boolean, we have undefined, we have null, we have symbol, we have object. Talking about strings, okay? Talking about strings, any letter, word, sentence, paragraph, right? All of these are considered as strings. And there's a mandatory rule of writing string that you have to write string inside a single quotation or a double quotation. This is one of the mandatory things you have to remember. In the previous example, we have seen, right, that we wrote something like a equals to, in the double quotation, we wrote nothing but JavaScript, wherein a is a variable and this is a data having the data type. Now we can understand it is having the data type string. And that's the reason we had written it inside the double quotation. Talking about numbers, unlike any other language like Java, C, C++, we don't have a lot of things like int, float, double, long int, short int. We don't have anything. Any number, I mean, you can consider like -1 is also a number, +1 or 0, or you take example like 0.9 or anything like that is called as a number. Talking about BigEnd, right? We'll talk about BigEnd, undefined, null, symbol in the later class. Okay. Talking about the Boolean over here, so Booleans are nothing but true and false. Okay, Booleans are nothing but true or false. Whereas over here, objects. Okay, what are objects? Again, objects will be one of the topic which we'll discuss in a later stage. Okay. Talking about string, guys, over here, if I try to create a string, right, I can simply write over here b is a variable and it is having a word inside it. It can be anything. It can be literally any language name also over here, like Python is awesome, or a sentence over here, Python is awesome, right? And what are numbers? And if we have to check what is the data type it is having, we can simply write nothing but console.log, right? I can write type of, what is the type of b? And we can quickly see over here it is of a type string. So the data type b is holding is nothing but string. Okay, over here one more thing which is very important. In other languages you had to write what is this variable of, whether it is of an integer or string. You have to predefine it. Since JavaScript over here is a dynamically typed language, it is a dynamically typed language, you don't have to define the data type of a variable before itself. It will automatically get set as you define it. Okay. Now let us look into the numbers. So if I create over here C equals to 12, and if I have to check the data type of C, I can write type of C. And clearly it shows over here number, right? Is 12.1 also a number? Yes, it is, right? Is -12.1 a number? Absolutely yes, it is, right? So these are the basic data types in JavaScript: string, number, Boolean, and your Objects is also one of the very basic one, but we'll discuss this in the later class. Also, if I have to show you about the booleans, if I write d equals to true, and if I write console log type of d, over here we can quickly notice it is giving the value boolean, right? It is printing nothing but boolean. Okay, now let us talk about this BigEnd. Okay, now let us talk about these things like BigEnd, your undefined, null, symbol, and object. So what is this BigEnd? So over here, BigEnd is nothing but a built-in object in JavaScript that provides the way to represent a whole number larger than 2 to the power 53 minus 1. So guys, if we have a number bigger than 2 to the power 53, we can represent, it won't be considered under number, right? It will be considered under BigEnd. I hope that is clear. If we have to write that down, so if we have to look into an example of a BigEnd, we obviously need a number which is way greater than, which is way greater than over here to the power 53 minus 1. So let us take an example over here. Let us take e equals to some greater number like this, and we have to remember, okay, when we write a BigEnd, we have to append an end at the end. Okay, I'm simply writing an end at the end. Now if we try to check the data type of this, so we can console log, right? We can console log the type of over here e, and clearly we can see it is giving over here the BigEnd. So if you have to handle a number which is so big, right, in value, you can use nothing but BigEnd. You can simply append an end at the end. Okay. Now let us talk about this undefined. Have you wondered if I write something like f, it doesn't have, right? If I simply write an f variable, it doesn't have any kind of value defined to it, right? Over here, if I simply write over here nothing but yes, f equals to, okay, I can also do something like this, f equals to undefined. I can give it a value called as undefined, and now if I print, obviously if I print f, the value over here, it will be given nothing but undefined. If I print type of f, so again that gives nothing but undefined. So undefined over here is also a value, okay, not only data type, but it is also a value over here. Talking about null, null means nothing, right? So if I put over here nothing, like I can also, null is also a value and also a data type. If I write nothing but null over here, and if I console log the type of nothing but g, we can expect over here, okay, what is this? What is this object we are getting? Over here, instead of getting the data type as null, we are getting nothing but an object. Why is it so? We'll discuss this in the further class, but for now, let me just print out g over here and get null printed. Okay. Further moving, what are these symbols, right? So over here, symbols, if we take an example of a symbol, right? E, F, G, H, and now if I create a symbol over here, right? If we create a symbol, we can simply write over here inside anything like over here I have written simple like an ID, and let us get that printed. So H, and that prints nothing but symbol and over here ID. If I try to print the data type of this, right? So type of and H over here, we get nothing but symbol getting printed, right? So what are these symbols? Is it more like a string, right? So yes, the answer is yes. Over here, strings, okay, it is more like a string, but it has some extra properties to it. Okay, some extra properties like strings. Okay, strings can be repetitive, but over here symbols are unique in nature. You cannot have same string inside the symbol, right? It needs to be very much unique in JavaScript. So that is all about data types in JavaScript. I think we are missing one more, right? That is nothing but super important, which is nothing but objects. So guys, if you have learned Python by any chance, right? Like in Python, how we have dictionaries. So over here in data types, right? Objects. So guys, so yes, so objects, if you have ever learned Python before, right? In Python we have learned dictionaries, right? A dictionary is nothing but having a set of key and a value. Similarly, over here in JavaScript, we have object, which has nothing but a set of key and a value. Like over here, I can have a key called as name and a value to it like Karan over here. And we can give it multiple keys and values, right? Role, maybe we can just put them as software developer, right? Perfect. And now I can go ahead and I can use the dot notation to access, the values using the key. Like if I write I dot name, so it will be giving me nothing but Karan printed. Right? If I use I dot role, that would give nothing but software developer getting printed. Right? So that's how my objects work. Right? So giving a quick revision of everything. So in JavaScript we have 8 different data types, starting from string, number, BigEnd, Boolean, undefined, null, symbol, and object. Strings are nothing but letters and words and sentence, and they have a very mandatory rule that they need to be contained inside a single quotation or double quotation. There is no difference between using a single quotation and double quotation. Talking about numbers. Numbers can be negative, positive, it can be 0, right? It can be in decimal, floating, right? Talking about big ends over here, guys. Talking about big end, any number which exceeds 2 to the power 53 minus 1 can be considered inside big end so that we can do easy operations on it. Talking about Booleans, Booleans are nothing but true and false. We saw it over here, d equals to true, and we have just got it printed also. Talking about undefined, so if a variable is left without any declaration or without any data, that will be simply undefined. Over here, undefined is also a value. So I have given f is equal to undefined, and when I'm trying to print the type of it, it is simply saying undefined again. Same thing goes with the null. Null is nothing but if you don't put any value to it, right? So that will be also null over here. And if you print the value of null, that will simply again give null. Symbols. Symbols are just like strings, but it has a unique thing about it that symbols are nothing but unique in nature, right? Like in the complete throughout the program, right? You can have strings multiplying or multiple strings of the same data type. Okay, so symbols over here are very similar to nothing but strings. Okay, but symbols over here needs to be unique. Talking about objects, objects are more like your dictionaries in Python. And also one more thing that we have to understand, arrays, right? When we talk about arrays, list in other languages, right? Over here, those are also called as an object. Okay. With that,
bye bye, tata, goodbye, gaya.